Born in Poland, Walerian Borowczyk trained as a painter and lithographer, winning Poland's national prize in 1953. He began his film career as a film poster designer, then started making short animated film in the late 50s. Moving to France in the early 60s, he gained a reputation as a leading animator before switching to live action feature, which have become increasingly controversial. Borowczyk, who never regained the favorable critical consensus of his earlier films, claimed to have made films that excited him and made a profit. Viaggio Celebrity presents top Walerian Borowczyk films. Number 14. Art of Love. Ovid is an extraordinary poet and a very good storyteller. The young and beautiful Claudia and Cornelius turn to him to receive advice on love. And he, the narrator, speaks to the two young people and to those who want to listen to him of seduction and conquest, of pleasure and affection, teaching that go beyond any age and social condition. In the 8th year after the birth of Christ, Rome under the reign of Augustus, the Roman tribune Gallus Macarius brings his beautiful young wife Claudia to his mother Cleo because he has to go to war. But she gets permission to follow the lesson of Roman poet Ovid, who preaches art of love, libertine love in the amphitheater. During this course, the uniquely sophisticated art of love is practiced. Practical lessons are given by Macarius' wife and his mother. Number 13. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Miss Osbourne. The film takes place before, during, and immediately after the engagement party of Dr. Henry Jekyll and Miss Fanny Osbourne, attended by numerous highly respectable guests, the last of which informed the company that a child has been murdered in the street outside. While the other watched a young dancer perform, Dr. Jekyll instructed the lawyer to alter his will, leaving everything to a certain Mr. Hyde. Shortly afterward, the dancer is found murdered, and the guests realize that one of their number must be maniac with a prodigious appetite. Fanny Osbourne was the name of Robert Louis Stevenson's real-life fiancée, who was so shocked by his original draft of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that Stevenson threw the manuscript into the fire and wrote a completely different story. Number 12. Immoral Women. Film composed of 3 sketches. Margarita. Rome at the time of Renaissance, the daughter of a baker, Margarita, known as the Fontarina, satisfied her love in the ruins of ancient Rome. Noticed by the painter Raphael, he made her his model and his mistress. When Raphael painted the room of the Vatican, Margarita gave herself to a banker to extract a piece of his fortune from him, and then she poisoned him. She does the same with the great painter before resuming her free life in the ruins. Marceline. The young Marceline liked that her rabbit Saucy provoked in her strong sensual emotion, that she welcomed lying in the grass in the shelter of her parasol. His parent killed Saucy and fed him. Marceline then provoked the black butcher Petrus, who loved her, and hanged himself. Armed with the butcher's knife, she returned home and slaughtered her sleeping parent. Mary. A young woman, Mary, is kidnapped by a certain Antoine, who locks her up in a van, demands a ransom, and abuses the situation. Number 11. The Beast. In order to inherit a fortune, a young woman agreed to marry a young man. She soon discovered that his family harbored a dark past involving a monstrous beast under the condition that within 6 months from the death of the accomplished businessman Philip, his beloved daughter and heiress to his immense fortune Lucy get married to Mark Pierre's son Mathurin. Innocent fair Lucy had with her aunt to the crumbling estate of her soon-to-be husband. But the once noble estate is nestled deep in the French dense wood, where century ago a wild and ravenous supernatural beast roamed the very forest, driven by a raw and unquenchable lust for virginal, unprotected girls. Before long, young Lucy, completely unaware of the menacing legend and the strange rumor that cloud the family's name, will begin experiencing appalling yet sensually charged vision of an unprecedented vividness. Number 10. Lulu. The story of an enticing young dancer who rises up in society through her relationship with wealthy men, but later fall into poverty and prostitution, culminating in an encounter with Jack the Ripper. Controversial police art house director Borowczyk brings to life Wedekind's infamous femme fatale in a wonderful little film that is at once funny, despairing, beautiful, ugly. It's about obsession, yet never exploitative or crass. Film much like a play in 3 acts, there is much thought in the casting, music and set. An international co-production, the use of actors from different countries mean no matter what version you watch, someone's lip will be ridiculously off from the dialogue. A common problem with European film of the 70s and 80s. Number 9. Private collection. 3 stories. A solitary sailor falls from his boat and washes ashore on a tropical island. While seeking rescue, he is found by a woman who is playful and compliant. He decides to erase his sign of distress and remain on the island. In the second, an adolescent searches for the word of a nursery rhyme he remembers bit of. His journey takes him into dream, awakening, and audible fantasy. Third, a man of wealth in late 19th century Paris hires a prostitute for the night. She is also a cabaret performer and takes him to her room. He fears he is about to be robbed. 3 short films from 3 of the most prolific directors of erotic and surreal film of the 1970s are brought together in this very entertaining film. Number 8. Behind Convent Walls. A jealous, handsome priest who is the confessor for a convent full of women encouraged the equally jealous abbess of one such institution to enforce the same strict rule on these unfortunate women that are applied to others. In doing so, they uncover a snake pit of love coupling. At the same time, a particularly disturbed inmate managed to poison herself and many of the other novitiate in yet another scandal which is covered up by church authorities. A stern mother superior tried to maintain order in the convent and to protect the nun from evil temptation in this beautifully wrought film from cult director Walerian Borowczyk. While the plot here is standard fare, it is the breathtaking imagery that takes center stage and make these films so special. The character and the images are constantly moving, an effect helped to some degree by the handheld camera technique. Number 7. The Streetwalker. Sigismo is a man lost in an erotic haze which clouds his judgment. Early in the film, it is evident that the man has a physically passionate relationship with his wife, with whom he has a son. While on a business trip to Paris, he comes under the spell of a famous, beautiful prostitute who resembles his wife. However, his efforts to monopolize her attention are not appreciated by her pimp, and he is severely beaten. When he gets a letter informing him of the death of his wife and son, he is totally devastated. Number 6. The Story of Sin. A beautiful Polish girl traveling around Europe in search of her lover suffer a variety of tragic adventure as the men around her try to fit her into their own selfish scheme. The teenage girl Eva is first seen confessing and warned about having any impure thought or feeling. Her family has borders, and one day a young man, Lucas, moves in and they fall in love. He is trying to get a divorce but is denied by local church people. They live together after he is wounded in a duel and then he takes off for Rome to get a divorce. She has a child and drown it. She hears that he has been imprisoned in Rome, so she goes there only to find out that he has been released. In her wandering through France and Germany, she finds out that her lover has married a rich woman and gone back to Poland. She gets involved with two conmen who use her to trap Lucas. Number 5. Immoral Tales. Separated into 4 independent short stories, this anthology comprises of tantalizing tales about desire and its diverse manifestation, intertwine the omnipotent human urge with the power of desire, curiosity and self-exploring the forbidden with the obscene. Unapologetically it attempts an insight, other times superficially and other times with a more comical approach, into subjects such as teenage virginal naivete and the farewell to childhood in the first segment titled La Mary, while in the following part named ironically Thérèse Philosophe, a curious teenage bourgeois girl surrendered to the delight of self-stimulation and philosophy. Next, in the blood-drenched vignette named Elizabeth Bathory, the vanity of youth and the chase for immortality is explored through the legend of the murderous Countess Elizabeth Bathory and her vampiric tendency involving the bright red and warm virginal blood. Ultimately, in the final segment titled Lucrezia Borgia, the outrageous and scandalous act of incest is vividly depicted, including the infamous Lucrezia Borgia, daughter of Pope Alexander, and her lustful cardinal sibling Caesar Borgia. Number 4. Emmanuelle 5. Emmanuelle has a streak of bad luck that starts when she is stripped by a mob of adoring fans at the Cannes Film Festival. Her rotten luck continues when the dictator of a banana republic uses the screening of one of her films as a pretext to get her into his country. Our heroine finds herself admitted into his harem as a slave. Emmanuelle 5 clocked in at a brief 85 minutes after the director himself seared the film of several scenes of dialogue and exposition, preferring to leave voiceover to scenes of visual montage. Shot in English sync sound, it also features the first American actress to play the Emmanuelle character. The film shoot took place on location in Paris, Cannes and the island of Reunion. Number 3. Love Rights. Hugo, a clothing buyer, is a young hedonist who meets actress and prostitute Miriam in this drama. After heavy petting and foreplay throughout the Paris subway and a church, she takes him to an apartment for the love favor she has promised. Hugo is subjected to a humiliating emasculation and wander dazed on the bank of the Seine following his ordeal. A young woman emerging from the river after swimming stabs herself to death, and the hapless Hugo is blamed for her murder. The film has a certain gritty urban style to it, and it is not by any means his worst. For instance, the cutting scene across the metro line is inventive, and the scenes are often originally shot. However, the film must rate as underwhelming, chiefly because it does not really go anywhere. Number 2. Blanche. The plot concerns the Blanche, the young wife of a much older lord, and the tragedy that is the offspring of poor man's love for her. Her stepson is pure of heart and is madly in love with her. When he expresses his feeling toward her, she refuses to return them out of loyalty to her husband. Thus, Blanche is a very naive and dedicated woman. However, when the king and his page arrive, Blanche is faced with their affection for her. The story avoids the cliche happily ever after ending. In fact, the only survivor in the whole tale is the king. What began as a light and airy tale ends on a bleak note. Fans of Borovczyk or European cinema in general should look this film up. It isn't a very fast-paced or action-filled tale, but the story is very well structured and effective. Number 1. Goto, Island of Love. This was the debut feature from infant Walerian Borowczyk, who went on to make such films as Blanche, Immoral Tales, and Behind Convent Walls, and became known for his use of love scene, which does not appear very much in this film. Set on an archipelago that has suffered a major natural disaster, we find a community stuck in the past. They are cut off from the outside world. They have stubbornly maintained the status quo. Their leader is Goto, who has assumed kingship by some constitutional necessity. He seems to look on his subject as he does his pet Alsatian dog, and is married to the beautiful Glacia, played by Ligia Branis. One of the forms of entertainment is the public fight, which takes place on a ropey stage where talentless musicians torture homemade instruments in a sort of end of piece show and display of awfulness. These fights are punishment for all crime, whether theft or murder, and the loser is executed.